Hey everyone, I'm up getting ready for work. Been up a couple hours. I went out to eat and had a good breakfast. Since I can't cook that good, I had to pay someone to do it for me, right? You betcha. So I really wanted to kind of go back to my psychic awareness side of my story as I'm going through my life adventure here. I think the last couple of videos were more to the this was my life. These are my pictures. And then the last time, let me see, I think I took us through to 98 on that. But then the last time I spoke about my weirdness was really Bob Bill. Really Bob Bill, ooh, really Bob Billy, do 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 do. Anyways, my dad's little jokes kind of got sprinkled in, and so anyways, I've been going through this whole ordeal with the Billy visions throughout my life, which was also slowly in the process of creeping up on me. But meanwhile, I had gotten myself into martial arts. I think around the time I got into martial arts, I was already like really curious about the paranormal and reading books and wanting to know about like I think my dad told me about out of body experience, and so I was already thinking about that stuff, but I was not seeing the correlation between psychic awareness and martial arts at all until I met Ron Curran. So I think 11th grade, my friend Simone from art class introduced me to Ron Curran, who was teaching privately out of his house. So I went over to that, get to know Ron, and we made friends right away. I told him my situation, that, I really want to learn about psychic awareness and all that. And he's like, well, I'm the perfect teacher for you. And so we had a lot of good conversations. I felt like I spent more time just sitting and talking to him than actually doing the training. So within that 2 years, I think I tested the orange belt because I wasn't focused on belt testing because he was letting me see everything, all of the material without testing to it, because he noticed I was able to pick up forms and stuff. So I would say Ron was a pretty good Kempo teacher. He was also a black belt in Taekwondo before that too. So it was great having a teacher like that to not only help me with the martial arts, but to really delve into the spiritual stuff. Now, at the end of the day, Ron was a Christian minister, and his message to me was like, hey, I've studied everything. Christianity has the highest knowledge of all of it. And so I kind of see what he's saying now that I'm older, because before I just thought, yeah, whatever. But some of the stuff we worked on, I think I've been out of body or had dreams where he would have also had the same dream. And well, I think one of the cool things, I'm kind of going off the top of my head, so I'm going to do my best to remember everything. Like one of the cool things he did is, one night I was sleeping. I think I asked him, would you please demonstrate if you can go out of your body and show me? And anyways, I don't know if I was sleeping, but I was kind of trying to go to sleep. And I just felt like there's somebody right over here, right? So just somebody right over here. So I look up and I saw the shape of a face, and I was like, ah! I was kind of startled by it, Like it was just sort of like an impression in the air. And then when I told Ron about it, he goes, yep, that was me. And I said, yeah, well, when I saw it, I was like kind of scared by it because it just, surprised me. And it was kind of spooky when you see a ghost, just because it's so weird looking, let alone you're not alone, right? But he felt it too. He knew that that when I saw him, it scared me. So he also disappeared for that reason. Now that's a parallel to a story when my parents were living at my grandma Weaver's house up in Michigan. In their bedroom, they also had a similar experience. So there was just a ghost that, I don't know, she was showing herself in the mirror. Maybe the ghost was looking in the mirror. But my parents saw that ghost, and of course they probably were like, and it disappeared. So that's why when you see a ghost and you get scared by them, sometimes they disappear because of your fear, right? They might be responding, or that might be how that goes. So that's where, I think when we go to sleep at night and we go out of our body, I think we're getting a small taste of maybe the afterlife. So really, you shouldn't be afraid of what happens when we die, other than the fact that we're going to have to leave behind anything we care about in this world. But you've got plenty of practice if you're going to sleep and dreaming and possibly having dreams about bouncing and flying. And in my case, I kind of bounce and fly and go to places I've spent a lot of significant time, like my home in Florida, my grandmother's house, my martial arts school. So that's where I kind of get the idea from training with Ron that this has been going on all along. And he says, "Boy, Jody, you're out of your body and you're all over, but I can't remember it all the time. I only remember some of it. So for all I know, I'm probably living a whole nother life." I think there's a song. These trees, da 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 da. Every second of the night, I live another life. So she's got it. That if you remember that song, can't remember all the lyrics, but every second of the night we're living another life. Meaning that in a roundabout way, what if physical reality is only the tip of the iceberg? This is like the framework of all of reality, and the majority of reality, according to my good friend Rosie, is really happening in what we call the spirit plane, or more on a plasmic level, where we're less atomic. And so the atomic world is kind of like the surface, of all of the living universe and all of experienced reality. So that's where before my grandma Smith died, and she had flatlined for 3 days, so she was looking forward to it. In fact, she didn't want to come back the first night, so she's like, yeah, she's like, I'm finally going on vacation here, and there's some people that are like, well, I sure hope I don't reincarnate. This is, once you see the afterlife, this is, life on earth is pretty hard and retrospect to other realities, right? So Ron was a good teacher for working with me a little bit on astral travel, and I think after I moved to Colorado, I had a really cool dream that he and I were up on the sidewalk. So I lived in a basement apartment where the sidewalk was like kind of like chest level maybe, so I could look right out the window. And my bed was like right up against the wall where the window is to the sidewalk. And in my dream, it was like we were out there sparring and doing some martial arts training. And Ron did a hip toss to me, and he tossed me right back into my bed and right back into my body. And then I woke up and I thought, oh, I think I was just in astral travel sparring or training with Ron. And when I told him about it, he also remembered this. See? And so part of the reason I wanted to go to the Shaolin school is because Ron told me, the training you're looking for is at Shaolin, because I really wanted to get to the root of all the what we had for Asian martial arts, because one thing I was learning is there are as many styles as there are masters, but what they're all really learning from is Shaolin. So if you go to Shaolin, it is to martial arts as classical as to music. It's like you can't just go back and change the classics. It's like all we could do to preserve those classics and learn from them. And then that way those classics will contribute to what we consider modern, right? That's why, for example, Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails took classical piano along with computer technology courses, right? That you gotta use the traditional and the classical to learn from in order to improve upon the modern. Okay, so when I met Master Tay the first couple times, I knew I really just loved him. He has magic in his eyes, In fact, I got a chance to take Rosie and Howard. Now, Rosie's the lady I came to live with, so if you've watched all my other videos, she's been kind of my adopted grandma or auntie, or, she's like an adopted relative, and I actually came here to get spiritual training from her. I think overall that's what I was looking for, because like I felt like I was burned out on Denver. It was time to, what you call, get the heck out of Denver. So I came up to stay with Rosie because I feel like she knows what she's talking about. Now she's kind of like Ron, she's a very Vedic person. She's a yogini, but she doesn't really shun any of that stuff. She just embraces everything she's ever learned. And again, comes back to she's a Christian minister, and at the top is the understanding of the Holy Trinity. Okay, so this is what people are missing over the ages of religion in its development and spiritual philosophy, is that we do know there's a spirituality, and we did know there's heaven and earth, but until recent times, the knowledge of the Holy Trinity has not been bestowed upon us until about 2,000 years ago, right? So it's not fair to treat other people like they don't know what they're talking about, because if you're following the Vedic, it should take you to the understanding of the Holy Trinity. So Rosie's husband Howard was the first white man in America to serve as a Buddhist monk running a monastery. So he was running this monastery at Tassajara, either in or near San Francisco. So to me, that just, I'm not bragging, I knew these people, but it just tells you how serious they are, right? And just because you were the first one doesn't mean a whole lot either. There could be more and better monks that have come along. But, it's just kind of cool to be part of that history because, it was the hippies and the people that were part of the Cultural Revolution that were the ones to embrace the Vedic knowledge because, in ways, it's like Christianity is kind of messed up and it's not anything to do with God or Jesus. If they're looking in on us, they're probably also just as displeased as I am with what people are doing with the Christian religion, which is actually creating atheism and making people not believe or understand the true nature of spirit reality and what we call God and Jesus. So anyways, that's why, we have the Vedic knowledge is being imparted upon us as we're looking for a change in our culture. We're looking for the real truth. And so my biggest precept is that truth is truth no matter where you find it. And so just because it's either partial or next to something that's not true doesn't change what is true, see? So by going to that Buddhist monastery and meditating all these years, Howard had the epiphany that the Christian teachings are true, that what we call Jesus, God, they do exist as they're being said, that we have this Holy Trinity. So this is where Easter Day might have been his last day. I don't know what year, but it's kind of a fun story about Howard being part of this. And then Master Tay, Sin Kuang Tay, is a Shaolin Grand Master that, he was having a book signing in Denver, actually in Boulder, Colorado. So I took Rosie and Howard up there. So I'm not sure if Master Tay was made aware of this, but yeah, I was able to introduce them to Master Tay, and they just spoke briefly and did the book signing. And Rosie can see auras, and she gave me the confirmation that she knew that Master Tay has a very big, powerful aura. She could see this very good and powerful person. So I felt like, Master Tay is going to be a good person to learn from as far as like getting the magic and the spirituality. And so when I had a chance, I sat down to talk to Master Tay. Before I get into it, this is my testing from 2007. I started in 95 and I dropped out, came back, and I tested to second degree. So this is a mirror vision, like I am. So me in the middle of Master Dave and Sharon, I could tell you, hey, these guys are my aunt and uncle. You'd probably believe it, right? So these guys are definitely kindred. Now, Master Tay, funny thing, a Chinese man from Indonesia, he's also very kindred. I felt like, when I was with Master Tay, it's kind of like I'm hanging out with one of my grandparents. It's kind of funny to say it's like hanging out with my Grandma Smith or somebody. I felt like it's that kind of person that I should give respect to, It's kind of funny, I do things like, if we go to the grocery store, carry his groceries, and he's probably confused, but it's like, hey, you're my elder, But I was really surprised how easily Master Tay was willing to get in touch with me. I was just going to write him a letter and try to talk to him, and he's like, here's my phone number. What's your phone number? We get on the phone and started talking. He invited me to breakfast, and then he gave me a back massage, and then he kind of put his private parts up to my butt. He was kind of letting me know we could have sex if I want to, and then he was just trying to read whether I was ready to or not, and I wasn't ready, so we probably would have done it. We probably would have had a good round of sex, but I wasn't ready for it. But later on, he invited me to come to California, and I knew if I'm going to go to California, he's probably going to have sex with me. So I kind of went out there, with that in mind. He was, let me see, in his 50s. He probably would have been around 55, and I would have been about 21, 22. And so I just felt like the only reason I would do this is I feel like I can trust him and stuff like that. It's like I wouldn't mind it, like I figure it's a great way to bond and make friendship, but I didn't see this as, someone who should be my boyfriend or have a permanent long-term relationship. I'm sure there's going to be a better match out there for him, which there ain't, because I think he's still single. I haven't heard him. He likes to stay single and just have an occasional girlfriend is what I've learned about him. He doesn't like to be married because he's had a bad marriage situation and he doesn't want to do that again. Understandable. But anyways, getting involved with Master Tay, see, by doing that, by going to him and having sex with him, helped create a sense of empathy that I was able to experience. So the thing is I haven't had any visions and stuff about Master Tay, like with Bill Lieb and all that. But I had a couple of interesting dreams around the time we were getting in touch, you know. And one of the, let me see, I think one of the dreams was that our Shaolin school was back in ancient times. It seemed like we were training in this like fortress, like it was kind of like this big square fortress with an upper level. I could see kind of like paper lanterns hanging out. It was kind of neato. I could see Master David and Sharon up on the second level having dinner while other students were down here going through their kata. And I went over to my bed and sat down, and Master Tay came over and sat down next to me, and he was like this big giant white colored person because he was glowing, you know. And when he sat down and next to me, I was like magnetically attracted to him, like I was stuck to his leg and his shoulder and couldn't get away from him. And I knew he wanted to have sex with me too. I felt like I was stuck to him. I couldn't get away from it, but I liked it, you know. I liked Master Tay. So that was it. It was so simple dream, but there seemed to be something significant about the knowing what he wants and knowing it's hard to get away from it. It's like a magnetically attracted situation. And then the next dream I had was that I was on his massage table, and then we were climbing over onto a big flat white futon bed, and that we were both the age of 10 years old. And then in reality, I went to his house, and we ended up with me on his massage table, climbing onto his bed. And then the whole time I stayed there, you know, we didn't do any kung fu though. That's where I felt like he was dishonest, because I think I was going into my pakwa. I was missing out on some pakwa, and I was thinking, you know, I told him I'm going to be missing pakwa by going to see him, and hopefully he would teach it to me instead. And he said he would, and he said all kinds of things that we didn't do, but he paid for everything, and he always eats out almost all the time. So it was kind of a nice vacation, and I think I did a second round with him like that. And but then I just came back feeling really angry, because I just felt like, you know, he's taking advantage of my friendliness and my willingness of sex, but doesn't really care for me, you know, like he's just treating me like a sex worker, you know, like I felt like he's paying for everything, sticking money in my pocket. I just feel like, you know, Master Tay is just making me like a sex worker for him. And I felt like it doesn't make sense, because I think I'm a good black belt, somebody that's looking to make a career in martial arts, and to him I'm just a toy, you know what I mean? So I started thinking, wow, you know. And that's because I also talked to a student that a good friend of mine that I trained with a lot, so we were pretty close at some point, and he told me a little bit about Master Tay's behavior, and that, you know, him and his Americanized Chinese friend going to bars trying to get women. It's funny, Master Tay will try to pick up a chick, and then his buddy will come behind him and try to pick her up too, like he's competing. And just like, it makes me feel like, wow, as intelligent as he is and as high up as he is and as powerful as he is, he still has these tendencies. But again, you know, Master Tay is still a great teacher. You know, nobody's perfect, but you know, it's disappointing when you feel like, you know, you've opened up to somebody under the pretense that this is somebody I'm going to have a good friendship with. And I did get a hold of him later on, and it seemed like we were reconnecting, but the last time we had a conversation, it seemed like I must have said something wrong, because he ain't responding to me anymore. So I think it's just an easy exit for him. But anyways, I went to Shaolin in part to improve upon my psychic awareness or get more. And I think that Shaolin definitely is a great avenue for that it just automatically does that, especially if you are doing the breathing and meditation training. Okay, so by doing the breathing and meditation training, it helps anybody, if you have any type of tendency, because we all have a gift and everyone's gift is different. So like, psychic awareness is actually something that's natural to us, but it's being suppressed by a number of things. And the funny thing about being human, okay, like with the animal kingdom, it seems like everybody's kind of genetically encoded to do what they're going to do. Like, they don't need sex ed, they don't need kung fu, they know how to fight, they know how to definitely know how to reproduce and survive in nature without any school. But human beings have to be taught everything they do. You have to consciously do everything you do. So like, you breathe, but if you want to breathe correctly, you have to consciously breathe correctly. We can walk, but if you want to walk correctly, you have to consciously walk or move correctly. So everything we have to do, in order to do correctly, you have to be very aware of it. So that's what makes martial arts so special. So as far as being psychically inclined, it doesn't always just happen in an automatic way. Like it needs to be kind of, it needs help, you know. And so I think, you know, some of my gifts, I mean, you know, I have these visions. I didn't know I was having the visions when I met Master Tay, but I knew that I was a little bit clairvoyant, and that I have dreams about stuff, and they kind of come true and stuff like that so far. And I was just trying to think with Master Tay, you know, there's just like, I could say I had a dream that I saw, you know, Master Tay was meditating against his wall, and I could tell something. Like it made me feel like I saw him, and he was saying, you know, you're always welcome here. And he said, you know what? That's true, you know, like I do tend to meditate in that spot, in that position, and I can't remember that instance, but it's definitely true. He said that, you know, at that moment, that's what his message was to me. So I felt like Master Tay was kind of making me open my heart, you know, it was kind of a good thing. But yeah, so the thing about Shaolin is it has a magical side, and I think I've experienced that a little bit, like since I've been doing Shaolin. So there's a term that I pick up from, if you've ever read the guy who wrote Celestine Prophecy, James Redfield, he also wrote a book called God in the Evolving Universe. And what he talks about is that you could become part of a morphogenic field of intention, meaning that when you're part of a group of people that are all kind of working on the same thing, what happens is your energy bodies kind of connect. So like you're not just adding your effort and intention, you're kind of also multiplying a little bit. So you can kind of experience that in Tai Chi class. When everyone's doing Tai Chi, you kind of feel like your energy's connected, like you feel like you're in an ocean of Chi, kind of getting moved back and forth, you know. And but in the intellectual level as well, like, okay, we're all here to get stronger, so our prayer action would be to show up to Kung Fu and take class. And then when you put together our intention of becoming stronger, we increase the likelihood of this happening by joining our energy. So when you join Shaolin, you become part of the morphogenic field of intention that stems from the old temples in China. So Master Tay has that type of connection from his master. So that's where you want to be linked to the right people sometimes, because then you're going to what you call become part of that morphogenic field of intention. Okay, so I feel like I've become part of that. So once you do Kung Fu enough, so when you do the Kung Fu, it helps you to start tuning into this frequency. And then when you actually go into fight or flight, and this is a story I'll have to share a little bit later on, but I felt like when I went into a couple of instances where I'm fighting with somebody, I felt like I was moving in a way that I could not predict, you know, like it was automatic and guided, you know, like I feel like when you tap into the Shaolin spirit, it'll guide you. So when you're fighting, you know, you don't just rely on your knowledge of martial arts. It's like you're being guided spiritually in the moment. So it's kind of like imagine you're having a car accident, and like right in the moment, there's like, it seems like time slows down, and something takes over, and you do something and you save your life or something, you know. It's just, so that's where the magic happens, is when you do end up engaged in fighting. This is where the Shaolin magic is gonna unfold. This is where the spirit of Shaolin is gonna go through you. So that's where I feel like, you know, training with Master Tay has helped me to see that. Like after going to see Master Tay the first time, I felt like it helped us to create a type of empathy with each other. So when you get involved with somebody, as soon as you start talking to somebody, you start forming an empathetic line of energy. So now it is said that spiritual knowledge can be shared through empathy. So there are things we just can't put into words, right? And so that's why it's good to have empathy if you have a good teacher like this. And for example, Master Tay would make these really good protein shakes with banana in it. And one morning, I could taste that shake, and I told Master Tay, I felt like you must have been thinking of me, because I could taste that shake in my mouth. And he goes, yes, like this morning I was making my protein shake, and I was planning your plane ticket, you know, getting your plane ticket organized. And so it's kind of just funny things like that. So I can tell Master Tay said he's had a lot of psychic awareness throughout his life. He's kind of losing some of it because he's just less interested. But after getting to know me a little bit, he had me watch a movie called Contact, which I've talked about a lot. I feel like that seems to explain me going to visionary state, which I wasn't even aware of yet. And then he had me watch a movie called Powder, I think was about a guy. He was born abnormal because he's super white skinned, but he had a lot of psychic abilities. But he was always abused for being different, even though he was a really good person and had a very useful gift. I think it was just a story about, just because you're being abused doesn't mean you're bad. It's just because people are afraid of what's different. And so those two movies, I think he really wanted me to see those. And the funny thing is, before that happened, somebody said, Jody, there's two movies you got to see. It's Contact and Powder. Make sure you watch those movies because those movies will help you explain your life. Like, so meeting with Master Tay, I definitely get some of my education that way. See, and now Master Tay is also like, hey, I'm this, and this, but at the end of the day, he's also Christian, and at the top of our knowledge is the understanding of this Holy Trinity, see? So now some people are going to reject this, because I don't want to, like, spread a religion and Christianity. I'm just telling you what these guys are saying, and I'm kind of seeing the big picture myself, that concept of the Holy Trinity within the duality, and all this colorful philosophy about how nature works and how the living universe works. Yes, we do need to understand that you are a conscious presence and that we are part of a bigger system of conscious presence, and being in the physical world sets us up in such a way that we're kind of in danger of what nature does to us. Like we're a little tiny planet suspended in space, for God's sake, we're barely in existence of an existence, right? So that's why we need the spiritual education. And so the spiritual education comes through two possible connections: through our own intuition, by being able to tap in. So the opening up of your body, like, okay, the chakra system. The funny thing is, Christian people think this is part of the devil. It's not. It's just because it's not part of Christianity. It's something outside, and it can take people down a wrong path if they don't do what Christians tell them to do. But think of Howard, the first Buddhist monk. Think of Rosie. She's always been such a yogini. Think of Master Tay. So all these people are doing things to open up their energy body and become more psychically linked. So when you become more psychically linked to what's around us, so you can communicate with people on a deeper level, you're also communicating through the planet, through the sun, through the galactic center, and into the universal center. And so by opening up all these channels, this is where you realize the higher truth of what's going on, what this group of knowledge has and what this group of knowledge doesn't have. And the message we're trying to that's been trying to get through to us is to understand that the living universe does have this whole arrangement where there are beings on higher levels than us, and maybe there's like one ultimate ancestor that we're tied in with, and all this good stuff. So that's what you really want to improve your psychic awareness for, is to get this type of truth, so that if you have any spiritual book, like particularly the Bible, there might be a lot of spiritual truth in it that people have to find. But again, this book should really only serve as confirmation as long as you are opening up your system, and like you have an internal antenna, like your cell phone, that can communicate with what we call heaven, right? And so that way you get all this information through yourself. Extraterrestrials may have been imparting upon us their knowledge of the greater understanding of the universe, the above and beyond. And that was bestowed upon us at such an early time in human history that a lot of it may have been taken out of context, and now we have a lot of silly ideas. So there's a lot of humanization being added to this understanding, which is why we believe in a fake God and a fake afterlife and stuff like that. So the God that doesn't exist is the one that's made up, and the God that does exist isn't really so much a God, or at least not in the sense that like Zeus and all those kind of gods were. If there was any such thing, those were probably extraterrestrials or beings of higher order, because we have everything from the lowest to the highest in the way of existence. So you got to imagine, like, if the universe has like its own conscious presence, it's our ancestor. It got here first, and we've been formed out of that. Then everything from the highest to the lowest. There's a lot of beings in between us too that are also trying to communicate with us and give us this education. So that's in part what I was going to Shaolin for, is to get that spiritual education and help with the psychic awareness, and And so this is kind of how I get it, so meeting right people, and then later on meeting Rosie. She's been a martial artist, and her husband Howard too. So of course I didn't train with her because she was handicapped by the time we met, but she definitely provided a lot of insight to me as a martial arts student too. So anyways, I want to talk a little bit about how I've been learning magic from Shaolin. And I'm thinking I want to mention in some of these videos is like when I very first came to Denver, and I was standing outside the bus station, like my very first day. I don't know if it was the day I just came to visit Kelly or the day I came to move there, but I think it's the day I came to just visit. And first time I really set foot in Denver, I was standing out in front of the Greyhound station. That's when somebody came up to me and explained to me that living here in Denver, you're going to learn a lot about magic. So this is definitely one of those points where I'm getting an education on what real magic is, because Shaolin has real magic, and I've experienced that real magic. So anyways, and that's why I love this this wall hanging. It's something that I inherited from Rosie and her heap of things she left behind. Because coming here is also, what is real magic, it's really just being able to make that connection with what we call the universal conscious and all that good stuff, what we call God, what we call Jesus, is the real magic. But the real magic also, sometimes when you see things, they seem to be supernatural. Like say I was in that fight, where the Shaolin magic took effect. So that's what we're also being trained to do, because we're trying to survive in nature. So what we call God, they want to, what you call, guide us in such a way that we survive it. Our survival is super important to the overall survival of the universe. So that's why we have spiritual education, and people don't believe in God because God doesn't control everything. But it's kind of like having parents, they want to guide you so you don't crash the family car. Maybe your dad's sitting in the passenger seat, and you're going to do what you're going to do. But if you can open up to the appropriate guidance through all this Vedic training that we're getting from the East, and then put it together with the intellectual understanding that we're getting from the West, what does outer space look like? What's in the physical reality? What is scientifically true? Usually only pertains to the physical universe, and what is spiritually true pertains to much of what we know in our heart. So anyways, thanks for listening if you're here at this point, and may you have a magical day. You guys take care. I'll talk to you soon.